What's up, guys? Joe Youngblood here. I'm a habitat specialist with Whitetail Habitat Solutions. I hope everyone is having a great day today. We are back on the farm. It has been a while. We got some T-posts back there. Gonna be dropping everything off and kind of doing some prep work for what is to come here in April. It's pretty wet. Haven't been here, like I said, for quite a while, but I see some pretty big puddles. Corn's been taken down. Who knows? Might stumble upon a shed today. But either way, just kind of doing some of that stuff that, you know, may not have enough time for in between client trips. It's been very busy. I would say maybe even a little overbooked, fairly stressful. I'll show you here how, well, I can't turn things around, but how wet things are. So in times like this, even though I might not, you know, gather the supplies and put them all the way in the back, I can at least bring them, set them at the farm when things are frozen enough. It's one less thing to do to pick things up. I can drop them off in spots. And that is something I'm actually gonna do later, is drop them off in specific spots so that when it comes to doing some of my other plantings that I'm gonna show you guys in April, we're ready to go. I don't need to drag a trailer around, going to a bunch of different areas. I'm gonna spread out these T-posts and different supplies, you know, near where we're gonna be doing some of these pockets. And that way it'll save a lot of time, especially if it ends up being a 1 or a 2-man job and we just don't have the manpower that we'd like. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these unloaded and we'll talk about a few other things, but it should be a nice day. Even though it's mid-February, we still got quite a bit of this cave-in rock still standing. Pretty awesome, even though there's no snow on the ground right now. I can't imagine how many rabbits and other critters are thriving in this area, so maybe even one day some pheasants. You guys might also remember a few videos, well shoot, never mind, like a year ago, my buddy Mike and I were out here and we were planting some trees in this switchgrass, the pockets, to add some of that thermal cover. Just a different, you know, variety of stuff going on, especially from what we're going to be planting this year. But as I'm walking around, of course I have to stop by a couple of the areas I haven't seen yet. And again, I'm gonna flip you around, hopefully you can see. I am super, that one didn't grow very much, pleasantly surprised. Oh no! Come here, little buddy. Oh, shucks. I don't think this one's gonna make it. But you got a few other ones over here that are doing very well. I don't know, look at that deer trail, it's kind of nice. I don't know why this would be so tall and perfectly sheared. You know what? I'm gonna stick it back in the ground. I would not be shocked. I mean, shoot, our Christmas tree was still growing plenty when we took that out. So anyway, you can see here a bunch of those. They were all saplings. They haven't grown too much, but they've definitely grown, they've definitely lived, and they've definitely had some weed competition. But this is an area where I did not plant switchgrass. I went the harder route, meaning I didn't plant switchgrass, and I marked, see if I can find a blue flag right here. I marked some of the area, or the circle, if you will, with some blue flag. And you can even see when I talk with clients, I give them numerous options and ways to do things, because there is, but at the same time, some are just a little more difficult than others. And if you don't plant something in switchgrass or what have you, and the seeds are so small, you're not going to remember exactly where it was. So you got to kind of use, the flags are very cheap, but at the same time they come off. And then if just a little metal stick is left like that, even though there's a little bit of flag left, you're never going to find where you planted. And it can just be super complicated when it comes back to spraying, you know, your simazine and your different other glyphosate and things like that. Now, well, you only need to do that where the switchgrass is going to be, but going around it, and then even just going around it in and of itself is kind of a pain, depending on how many of these pockets you're doing from the get-go. But at the same time, switchgrass is double the price as it was a few years ago, so I completely get it. However, there are still different ways you could go about it, like just planting normally or with a drill or whatever for your switchgrass, and then coming back and killing the areas that you want to plant, maybe fencing it off, maybe even putting some weed barrier and really doing a better job instead of kind of, you know, the method I took or winging it, if you will. So we're going to go around, check a few more of these pockets, but I'd say that is a dang good survival rate for some of these random seedlings that we placed. mean, in this pocket, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, at least 12. And I honestly don't think we would have put any more in the pocket to begin with. So awesome. I'll let Mike know, and we will keep on walking. I wanted to mention one other quick thing before I leave this pocket, and especially since I had already shown you guys this deer trail. When we are making bedding areas in these pockets, one of the reasons is, one, if we utilize things like switchgrass for structure and cover right away, deer don't eat switchgrass. So it's important that we utilize some of these pockets in natural forbs and briars, and maybe even save us a little work, so that the deer can be coming through, like we can see, out of all this switchgrass, this random trail, not random, but coming right to this pocket, because there would be natural forbs and briars and things like that that the deer can eat in the middle of the switchgrass and feel comfortable. So it's no surprise to me to see a trail like that coming right to one of these pockets. And that's why we would kind of sprinkle them out so that the deer feel comfortable and will actually be willing to stay in an area and not just pass through completely. So bear that in mind. Look at how tall this rub is. It's a nice little entrance to a bedding area. So especially for those clients that I've been to recently, and I'm talking about the corridors or making bedding areas and leaving those escape routes for deer. Here's kind of a perfect example. You know, it's 4 or 5 feet wide. This was done by hand, not with a mulcher or anything. You can see that was probably a bed, but the heavy traffic here, small, different size rubs everywhere. Look at this. Kind of a community scrape, if you will. And it just kind of continues on, and you can see when you have this kind of thick stuff, you know, around, and you give the deer the opening, they definitely, you know, use that path of least resistance. So that's a good example of what I mean when I say, you know, make your escape routes and open up those lanes for deer. And if opportunity arises and you can kind of angle it towards a tree stand, get a little specific with it, then great. You're just going to help your chances of the deer coming in within shooting range. I swear, if another rabbit scares the crap out of me, I'm going to kill all the switchgrass. All right, guys, we got the T-posts unloaded. Again, a little wet to take them out there, but they'll be ready to go for April, excuse me, for planting season. Check out some of the size of these tracks. How well you can see it, but pretty mammoth. So the next job for today is actually throwing up some posted signs. We've had a lot come down, get blown away over the last few years. So no big issues really, but definitely people, you know, that shoot deer come onto the property, don't really give us a call. Or, you know, in the very beginning, we did have a couple people that were walking their dogs through the land and things, and try not to be overly stingy. Have a lot of great relationships and neighbors out here, but at the same time, you know, would not want anything to happen during the hunting season that would mess up a hunt, especially when you drive a long ways to get out here and enjoy the time you have. So we're gonna keep going using some roofing nails, getting these put out here, and continue with our miscellaneous jobs for today. All right, guys, we have our posted signs pretty much wrapped up. We have added to our permission farms this year by 1 so far, so that's great, and another reason to keep you know, your neighbors and everyone in your good graces in the area. So we got that posted, found a few good rubs. Was hoping to find you know, my first shed of the year. Not yet, we'll still be working towards it. Saw a buck with 1 rack just a day or 2 ago on the farm, so maybe we'll find his. And found someone else's tree stand, not on my property, but this other one. But at the same time, it's the beginning of the year, so I'll have plenty of time to come grab it. And other than that, I don't know how much more we're gonna be doing today. I'm gonna head back, start checking some things. I gotta look at one camera, see if it's still working. Look for some sheds briefly, and then we're gonna be heading back. So not too much today, guys, but mainly I want you to think about getting some of this stuff done before it's planting season, before you start running out of time when you're doing other projects and your cuttings and timber stand improvement and things like that. So do what you can, plan ahead, especially if you have wet ground like myself. You might not always be able to drive or use heavy equipment to get back further on your property. So when things are frozen or you can do it, take advantage. Either way though, it's been a while since we were here, so glad to be back. We'll see you guys next time, and really excited to get into planting season here.